in the conference has more than that, and we're glad to bring in the head coach of Maryland baseball right now, Rob Vaughn, joining us to talk about this incredible start. It is the best start in school history, Rob. How come?
Man, it's just a good blend of players, man. It's a really good blend of a lot of experience and some really talented youth. And, we played good baseball out of the gate. And I think, going down and challenging ourselves against some really good teams early to get a barometer of where we're at. And, it's been a great start, but I think the beauty of this whole thing is I still don't think we played our best baseball yet. We're finding ways to win games, but there's a lot of areas for us to get better, which is a super encouraging thing as we kind of get rolling into Big Ten play here.
What is that balance when you're making a schedule in the early months of you don't want to face no one who's going to challenge you, but you also don't want to be losing a ton of games to hurt your confidence?
Sure. And I think that's the balance you walk every year, right? You're trying to prepare your guys for what you want to do, and our goal in this program is always to be playing into the month of June. And so you need your guys ready. I don't think it does you any good to go out and beat up on everybody all day long and get off to this great start and then get kind of smacked in the head whenever conference play starts. So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to challenge ourselves. We wanted to put ourselves up against who we viewed were some of the better teams in college baseball, and especially on the road. We spent the first 3 weeks on the road, and I think that really helps with camaraderie with your team, but it also helps just getting out there and getting uncomfortable and getting out of your comfort zone a little bit for a few weeks. So fortunately for us, I think the beautiful thing is our roster really shaped up to where I felt like we could go compete early. Like I said, a lot of experience in a lot of key positions, and even some of the younger guys were playing. Man, those guys have had a lot of college baseball games under their belt. So I think, that sets it up. But you're exactly right. You want to challenge your team. You want to get a good barometer of where you're at. But you also don't want to kill the confidence of your group, too early and have to dig out of a big hill. But, we saw it last year. We started 5-9 last year, and we're about as bad as we could be the first month and got real hot down the stretch and played our best baseball late. And I think that's what every college coach wants out of their team.
You lost your ace, Sean Burke, and, oh, by the way, Dean, Ramsey, Savakul are right there. When do you remember first realizing, oh, we're not only going to be fine with those three, we're going to be pretty good?
Man, I think it's really rare that you kind of go into a year really having your three starters ironed out. Usually you want to have a pretty good idea who you're running out on Friday and maybe Saturday, but a lot of times that third spot is something you're kind of working through as the year goes. Has been a revolving door at times for a lot of teams, even us in the past. It's been different guys all the time, but man, since about September when we came back to campus, as long as they were healthy, we knew we were going to run those three out pretty much in that order. And so I think that's a huge luxury. And I'm an offensive guy by heart, man. I was a hitting coach. I love offense. I love scoring runs, but one thing I've learned big time, man, you don't win without pitching and defense. And it really starts with your starting pitcher. Those guys really set the tone for the entire game when they go out there. And we have those guys in kind of the 1, 2, and 3 slot, but I think you could argue, man, those guys could be number ones on a lot of teams. We got Jason Savakul going on Sundays, and that's a Friday night starter if I've ever seen one, and we'll kind of take the reins as he moves into that next year. But such a luxury to have those three that you trust, that are experienced, that have just really good mindsets to be able to run them out, and you feel like you have a chance in every game. They don't have to be perfect. They're never going to be perfect. There's going to be days that are better than others. But those three give you a chance. And when they have their A stuff, man, you don't have to score a lot of runs for them. But even when they don't, they still give you a chance to win, and pitch can, kind of deep into that game, which is huge.
What are those three like personality-wise?
Man, they're all three different. Nick Dean has probably said 7 words since he's been on campus here in 3 years. But, man, he's just got ice in his veins. That guy doesn't get sped up. The moment doesn't get too big for him. Been really, really good. Just a low-key guy that works his tail off. Ramsey's kind of the same way. Those guys really have kind of continued to grow in their leadership. As I'm watching the other day, we're playing Towson here at home, and one of our pitchers had gone out and not thrown the ball too well, and I turn around and Ryan Ramsey sitting next to him on the bench, talking to him about different things, talking to him about how he was attacking guys, talking to him about how he's developed over his time here. And that's huge, that he's kind of growing in that leadership role. And Jason Savakul is as competitive as it gets. That guy gets after it. He works his tail off. He wants to win everything. I've got Savvy running in my ear. If the third baseman's playing back, he's stepping behind me in the dugout. I say, hey, coach, it drags there. He's got it right here. That guy, it doesn't matter what's going on, just wants to win. And so all three different personalities, but they're all three competitive as all get out and really want to win. And, you know, in a day in college baseball, when there's so much made about, you know, metrics and analytics and all this stuff, those three are kind of throwbacks, man. They understand that. They want to work on that. They use that information, you know, to improve themselves. But more than anything, those guys just want to win. And as a college coach, that's really a breath of fresh air.
How did things change for you when you found out Chris Alleyne was coming back?
Man, I tell you, I didn't think there was any chance. You know, that guy's a professional. He's a professional center fielder. He can hit for power. He can throw. He can run. He's an elite level defender. I didn't think there was any chance we were getting him back. You know, he was such a key cog in getting us into the regional last year. We don't get there without Bubba. And then you look up and first at bat of the regional, takes a swing, fouls the ball off his face in a freak accident. And very honestly, in that moment, I wasn't sure his baseball career didn't end. You know, I mean, we were worried about him getting his vision back and everything that came with that. But once we knew we got through that, I had a pretty good feeling that he would sign a pro contract and move on. And, you know, as the draft went on and he didn't hear his name called, I still thought, okay, man, you know, he'll want to sign as a free agent. But I reached out to him, just said, hey, I think we got a chance to be really good. If you want to come back, man, we want you back. We can take care of you. We'll make sure we set you up to be successful. And shoot, it was about 5 hours later, he called me and he's like, Coach, I'm in. I think we got unfinished business. I think we can be good next year and I want to win. And to get a guy with that kind of experience, that kind of toughness, and that kind of ability back just is huge. And, you know, you got to be good up the middle. And shoot, even looking at last night's game against George Mason, guy catches the ball against the wall, throws the guy out at third, makes a, you know, at the time, a game-saving catch, jumping into the wall in center field, and then ends up getting 3 hits. And so just getting him back is huge. And he's our captain, man. He's a guy that runs a ship here. And so having him back was a moment where you start to look and say, hey, man, this group's got a chance to be pretty good next year.
Tell me, where in the field can Mattshawn not play?
There's probably anywhere. I tell you what, that guy can play all over the place. You know, started at third base last year, kind of had a rough start defensively at first, played some innings in left field last year, and he's just a great athlete. He played soccer in high school, just a really, really good athlete, and another guy that, man, that guy just wants to win. So moved him to left for a little while, slid him over to second base, and, you know, he asked me at the end of the year last year, he said, hey, I kind of want to play shortstop. And I said, okay, you know, he's our best player. I'm thinking, yeah, sure, go play shortstop. You're probably not going to be our shortstop, but you can take reps there. You can do your stuff there, and kind of appeasing the guy that's the best player on your team. And, you know, I just watched his day-to-day from the first day in September until we left to head down to Waco in February. And it just kind of became clear he was our most consistent. He has great leadership on the field. He's a superb athlete. He really has a good clock for base runners, understanding when he's got to move quick and when he's got some time. And we just kind of looked up, and he just slowly and steadily won the job. And I tell you what, I think I could put him behind the plate and he'd figure it out. He's that kind of player, that kind of kid.
I'd like to see that one time. Kid, you're good. Just grab the catcher's gear. Let's see it.
Yeah, baby, you got it.
You know, when you took over this gig, you were the youngest head coach in the country. And I feel like modern day, that's a little more accepted across the coaching landscape. But still, what challenges did that create for you?
Oh, man, like, you know, when I went in and talked to, you know, our then AD, Kevin Anderson, at the time for that job, you know, I laid out what I believed in. I laid out who I was, how I go about my business. And I hoped that would be enough, but I just didn't know, you know, and he took a chance on me, man. I was 29. If I'm being truthful with you, I was probably nowhere near prepared. I just had a lot of passion, a lot of energy, and really believed we could be really good at Maryland. And I think that's what he saw in that process is, you know, the passion and how much I cared and my kind of vision for this program. But I'll be honest, man, I was terrible in year one. I was a bad coach in 2018, and we finished 24-30, weren't very good. And, you know, we talk to our players all the time that failures are prerequisite to success, you know, but when you're walking through that personally, it's a lot harder to accept that. It's easy for me to tell an 18-year-old that, but when I'm struggling and I'm failing in what I view as my job, it's a lot harder. But I'll be honest with you, I learned so much more going 24-30 than had you flip that. I went 30-24, just how to manage people, how to manage personalities. You know, and I think when you get into that, you don't know what you don't know. You have all these grand visions on things you think are going to work and what you're going to change and what you're going to do and how it's going to, you know, catapult off. I mean, a guy I love watching, Sean McVay, and I'm watching him in the NFL. I'm like, how in the world is he 34 and he's the man? And I'm 29. I stink at my job right now, but it's about growing and learning. And that's what I did. And I think you have to surround yourself with really good assistant coaches. And that's what I have here. Swope, been with me for 10 years, is a phenomenal. I don't know if there's a better hitting guy out there than Swope, and then you look at, the pitching side. Corey Muscara was here for a couple of years, did a great job for us. And, Mike Morrison and Anthony Papio now stepping in and filling that role has been phenomenal. So I just learned so much. I probably wasn't prepared. Kevin Anderson took a chance on me, and I'll forever be grateful for him for that, because we finally got this thing going in a pretty good direction.
Yeah, I'd say that's safe to say. It's a pretty good direction right now. Hey, final 30 seconds before we go. What would you say is the biggest obstacle for you guys the rest of the way out?
Consistency in defense. It's one thing when you're the wolf at the bottom of the hill. Those guys are usually a little bit hungrier, and we're going to get everybody's best shot, and we know that. But we just got to play consistent baseball. We talk about playing faceless opponents all the time. It's not about playing Minnesota this weekend. It's not about playing Rutgers in a few weeks. That's for everybody outside our program to get excited about, to talk about. For us, it's about being the best version of who we can be that day, and how consistent of a good brand of baseball can we play. If we can do that, the score will take care of itself. Doesn't mean we're going to win every game, but it means we give ourselves a fighting chance. But that's what we're really fighting for, is just the consistency of our defense, the consistency of a plan offensively, and the consistency of throwing strikes and pounding that strike zone on the mound. And if we can do those things, we give ourselves a good chance to play baseball for a while this spring.
Rob Vaughn, to use your words, you were bad in 2018, but not so much right now. Great to see the success you had. Thanks for giving us some of your time.